Talking Walls podcast. My name is Matthew Cooper and I'm your host for today. And we are joined by three wonderful guests. We'll start with the main man himself, Dave Azapadi. Dave, how are you feeling? Happy to be back?
Yeah, happy to be back. Looking forward to the season kicking off. Pre-season has gone far too quick. But yeah, looking forward to it. Fingers crossed we can kick off with a win this weekend.
And we're also joined by Finners. Finn, I feel like I haven't seen you in years. How you been keeping, mate?
I know, yeah, I'm all right. Glad to have you both back in one piece. Very jealous that I missed out, but no, next year we'll go. It'll be America soon. Hopefully, we'll do it then. But I've missed you all. But yeah,
I've missed you too, mate. There's rumour that they might be going to Korea next year, South Korea. Which I'm fine with that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be North, mate. But your missus wouldn't let you go to Benidorm, would she?
That was the one, yeah.
That was the one, yeah. Of course. And we're joined by Jord. Jord, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to getting into this one. We're going to be talking about pre-season. We'll wrap it up. Who impressed, who didn't impress. Probably going to be discussing squad depth. We'll be looking forward to the new season. We'll be giving our predictions for the rest of the season. We'll be previewing the Leeds game. And, of course, we'll be answering your questions. Dave, 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. That was pre-season for Wolves. Were you impressed on the whole?
Yeah, I think the games that we actually used our first team players and the players that I assume are going to be sort of in and around the starting squad against Leeds, we did well in all of those games, didn't we? Really, the games that we played. Obviously, we didn't see the Burnley and Forest Green games behind closed doors. But the Alaves, Besiktas game, and even the Sporting game to some extent, we had impressive spells in. And interesting, obviously, the Sporting game in particular, that starting 11 is pretty much what I would expect to start against Leeds on Saturday. And the fact there's obviously no Conor Coady in there is a little bit, well, not a surprise, but it'll cause a lot of debate among not just Wolves fans, but fans across the world, I'd assume. But yeah, impressed. Obviously, on paper, there have been some losses, which, again, some opposition fans have looked at and laughed about. But if you actually look at the 11s that have played in there, then I think we've done okay considering. I think you could say frustratingly for Bruno Lage, those rotated 11s, no one's really stood out enough to say, oh, flipping heck, he might have a chance to break into the team this year. I think the players that we expected to impressed, and the players that should have done a little bit more didn't do enough. So I think the 11 has pretty much picked itself for Saturday.
When you say it would make news around the world, are you expecting like Fox News and CBS to be breaking Wolves' starting lineup that Conor Coady's not been picked?
No, but I think fans of the Premier League fans, it will be a talking point. Not so much now, but I think in the next couple of weeks, when people have realised that Conor Coady's not playing for Wolves, it's going to be a shock. And obviously for him, I don't think it was an absolute cert to get into the World Cup squad. But I think if Gareth Southgate had to pick it before the season kicked off, he would have been in there. So he's a little bit of a shock in there. And, he's such a big part of the Wolves squad. It'll be interesting to see how he adjusts if he's not playing.
We'll come on to Coady in a bit more detail in a bit, but you know exactly what's going to happen. Say we don't get results in the first 3 or 4 games, he's not featured. Oh, but you got to get Coady back in there. You got to go to the back 5. But Finn, have you been impressed with the 4? And is that something you wanted to see anyway?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's going to be exclusively that for the season. Sorry, it's the Wi-Fi on the blink.
Who's going live to Finn?
No, yeah.
Finn, you there?
I actually started halfway through your sentence then, but no.
Crack on, mate.
Yeah, the 4. I think it's going to be a thing where we can use both, but I think they've got that 5 in the locker. They know it off by heart now, don't they? So we may as well use these games to try something new, and it's looked good. Been a few shaky moments, especially more with the Coady and Bolly partnership in the 2. I think they're used to the 3 a bit more, but I think with those players that we have got up front, there's been a lot of negatives around this preseason, but the shining positives are how those guys have linked up. So if you can get 3 of those creative boys on the pitch, then I think we have to find a way to be able to do that. And if we are going to concede a few more goals, then at least we might have a bit more fun, I suppose, this season. So I'm all for it.
Jord, are you an advocate of the back 4?
100%, yeah. I think that it's got to a point where Bruno, the season petered out with a whimper last year. He sort of got his hand forced into playing that back 5 and reverting back to type of the Nuno system of old. And, he's not getting backed. I think him and his backroom staff have just had a bit of an epiphany and a chat before the season and go, you know what, if we're not going to get backed, we're going to go out swinging and go out our way and doing it. And it's been a breath of fresh air to watch for me during pre-seasons, especially going forward. I think, Collins and Kilman as a centre half pairing, a young centre half pairing, that could be our centre half pairing for the next 4 or 5 years if you look after them and keep them on top of the game. I just think, what we've seen in pre-season, there's a lot there to build upon. I know we're going to get into squad depth, all that sort of stuff in a bit, but actually looking at our first 11, 1 to 11, I'm still as optimistic as ever that we can give anyone in this league, bar probably Man City and Liverpool, a good game.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think that starting 11, I think we might be one more signing away potentially in midfield. From being a really, really good starting 11. But Dave, I had reservations about Kilman playing in the back four, and obviously Collins has played in the back four last season for Burnley. But if anything, it looks like Kilman's been the most assured out of them pair. I know Collins has looked a little bit nervy coming into a new club, but Kilman's taken to it like a duck to water, hasn't he?
Yeah, and even the games where I really thought we'd be tested, Besiktas, Sporting, we've coped really, really well. Been really impressed with how we've dealt with it. I think when those two have played together, there's full strength back four. We've coped really well, and I thought there's going to be some serious teething issues here. Like we're going to see huge gaps in in between the centre halves, which we've seen a couple of times, but we've dealt with it and recovered really, really well. And we've got two really talented defenders there, like Jord said, that the club can rely on for a number of years now, but comfortable on the ball, comfortable in the way that Bruno Lage wants to play. And it's the high line is going to be interesting. I think we're going to, we had such a good defensive record for most part of last year. We're going to see us concede more goals, I think, just naturally. But with the way that the more positive approach, I think we should be scoring, or at least creating a hell of a lot more opportunities to score. So I think it's going to be exciting, but I'm pleasantly surprised with how well, touch wood during pre-season, how well they've adapted to the new system.
Those gaps, though, at the back, it's been more frequent with a partnership that hasn't been Kilman and Collins, hasn't it? I know, like the game yesterday against Ferenc, Bolly and Coady were absolutely miles apart. So I think that's probably a sensible point to talk about Coady. Finn, are you surprised that he's almost taken a bit of a back seat in pre-season in terms of the preferred 11?
Yeah, I can't think. Was there maybe that first behind closed door, like the ones they call the practice match, not a friendly, the one where they played a 5, but I shockingly didn't see him going to midfield at any point. But no, it's like,
oh, honestly, Finn, I can't deal with this narrative.
I was only a little one. There's way more of this to come.
He's not. Even my dad texted me saying, he could play in front of a back four. Well, he couldn't do that for us in the Championship. Never mind in the Prem. Imagine him being spun. No, thank you. Anyway,
right wing back if we need back.
No.
No. But no, yeah, it's sort of the writing's been on the wall, hasn't it? And I feel like every captain at Wolves goes through that starting, and he's following the Danny Bath, isn't he? Sort of becomes the club captain, even though he's not starting. He's still going to be amazing to have around. But you see the argument saying if he isn't playing, is his value at his peak now? And if the people are interested, will he want to go to Qatar? So there's lots more to just, he's going to be good for the squad, because I wouldn't blame him if he's not going to start. He probably would say, right, I want to be on that plane. And there's an argument that he's only going to drop in value if we don't play him. But as Dave said, like to the outside world, I mean, like for example, at like FPL, everyone's like, Coady's the nailed starter. No one really knows what's really going on at Wolves on the inside. And like to kids, he was the only Wolves player to get like a team of the season on FIFA. So it's going to be interesting to see how other people react, because when people like other fans think about Wolves, it's always Conor Coady. So it will be interesting. But that Coady, as you say, that Kilman Collins partnership has real promise there. And I think Kilman, I always think he's younger than he actually is, but they're still at a good 10 years in him, and Collins at 21, younger than me. Scary.
I don't think Coady should be written off at all, though. I think he's still got a big part to play. You say there he's a fantastic ambassador for the club. I hate the cliche, but good to have around the place. But Jord, it'll be interesting to see how he presents himself. Should he be out the team? Is he gonna be as chirpy and as happy as he has been before? I mean, I'm no body language expert, but I've seen a couple of times where he's been walking through the tunnel on the videos, and he just looks a little bit pissed off. And again, that might be me jumping to conclusions because I've already got a narrative in my head. But it will be interesting to see how he does present himself.
Yeah, I think he'll be. I think he'll take it really professionally. I do. I think, you know, I've seen the narrative as well, and some like, you know, a picture can scream 1,000 words, can't it? Essentially, and some still shots walking in the corridor, and he looks like he's a bit down in the dumps. But I think there's a lot of people quick to write off Conor Coady as a player and stuff. And for me, barring Paul Ince, been the best captain we've had in our lifetimes. We're lucky to have him and lucky to have had him. And you know, I think it's nonsense of us even thinking about selling him. If I'm being completely honest with you, I understand if he comes to, I think he's got enough goodwill in the bank to go. Look, if someone comes in for him and he's like, they've told him he's going to start the seat, like start regular starter, he wants to get on that plane to Qatar, I think we'll be hard pressed to not let him do that. But I mean, what's he worth, and what teams out there are looking to play a back three that aren't already, sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he does leave before the end of the window, but for me, I'd still want the best part of 20 million plus to even think about it.
I mean, the easiest link to make is to Everton, isn't it? Back with Farewell. And is it Gareth Prosser, Dave, who's at Everton now?
Gareth Prosser, head of youth development or head of the academy or something. Similar role to what he had at Wolves, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Dave, but I certainly wouldn't be writing Coady off. I think he'll see it as a challenge, and he might even start against Leeds. We don't know, but all the indicators show that he's not going to be.
Yeah, and I think the one thing was that obviously we've not really seen Coady enough in a back four to judge him, but I don't think he's not set the world alight in those games and those cameos that he's had for against Ferenc. Him and Bolly in particular were both quite shaky, albeit they didn't have two natural fullbacks next to each other as well. So yeah, I think it'll get game time still. I think you've got your cup games to look at. You've got a huge amount of fixtures before the World Cup kicks off, but in the back of his mind, I don't know. You know, he's had his time at England in the limelight, but this close to a World Cup, you're going to want to be playing football. But that obviously gives Kilman a big opportunity now. I think a player that's proved that he can play in a back five will have the opportunity to prove he can play in a back four, left-footed as well. You know, he's got a huge chance to make the England squad, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know, with Coady out the side, you're losing that massive organizer, that massive voice. But I think they see that in Collins. From interviews, he seems quite unassuming, quite quiet. But as we've seen Dave out there, he's constantly on, he's constantly talking, he's constantly organising. And I think that they may see that in him.
I think you've got a couple of players there, though. I know Kilman comes across as this sort of shy character, but I think he's somebody that reads the game quite well. You got Matinho and Neves, Matinho obviously a lot more experience, but Neves still isn't afraid to talk as well. So I think across the pitch, you've got a lot of passionate players that can read the game well. Jose Sarr is a good communicator as well. So although Coady is a big loss on the pitch, I think that's why someone like Collins has come in. I think you've still got it across the field.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want to be writing Conor Coady. I see a lot of stick on Twitter about him, and I think it's unjust. I think last season was probably his best season in the Wolves shirt. Personally, I thought it was probably the peak of the. I know Kilman had a good season, but petered off towards the end. But in most of the season, I thought Coady was really good. So it is a shame, but to evolve. And to, you know, that was it Wolves 2.0 that Tim Spears dubbed it. to get to that, you know, there are going to be casualties, which is a shame, but we'll see how he develops. But Finn, have you been impressed with the front four, the front three? You know, he's been switched between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. What's your thoughts been on that?
Yeah, when it was the Alaves game where they started with our only three midfielders. And I was disappointed that he didn't start with that front four. And then we saw it the second half, and yeah, absolutely loved the first signs of it. It's a shame that we only got to see a little bit of it, and won't be seeing that into the season as well, because I'm quite scared if we ever have to do this sort of false nine thing. I don't think it's ever worked for Wolves. But when we have had an actual fit striker and fit midfielders like Bruno would want, it's looked brilliant. So as long as we can get a few bodies in, I'm really, really confident with that one. As Dave said, and as we said, that we are going to concede a few more goals with the higher line and less bodies there. But yeah, for what we're sacrificing, I think that Gibbs White, Neto, Podence, they can all sort of play each of those three positions. It's going to be fun to watch. I think we're going to be winning 4-3 instead of the 1-0s.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about that false nine. Looking at how we played so far this season, obviously Jimenez has been the focal point, but when it hasn't been Jimenez, that front 3-4 has been really fluid, hasn't it? Jord has almost not been in any set positions, almost similar to how we played in the Championship, really, with Cavallero, Costa, and Jota. Real fluidity, and it worked.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's what you need. Is it? It's good. I think with modern football, you don't need to be that rigid. And actually, we have been quite pragmatic and rigid for a few years in that 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. And it's just good to see that players are moving around and stuff. I think that there's a few people on social media who can't seem to even have a pop-up photos and stuff who are like, well, Man City won the league with a false nine. Like, well, look at the fucking other 25 men in the squad. You know what I mean? And that's, I think we're not good enough to do that. And even then they still had Jesus who he put on the right wing or put through the middle or whatever. It's just stupid. I think it's good. I'm the same with it. I don't really want to see a lot of it. Like, I think for me, it's good to have that focal point. It's good to have that person linking the play. And I think we've looked best as we have been playing like a 4-2-3-1 and letting them all feed off Raul or whoever it will be come the sort of season we've got up there.
I don't necessarily mind the 4-3-3, but what you need with that, I mean, it's a fairly common passage of play. 6 goes into the 9, he drags space in behind, and the 8 runs on. So that 8 would be Dendoncker, as long as that's happening frequently, you've then got to trust Dave Dendoncker to get on the end of something and put the ball in the net. Which,
to be fair, we spoke. I think we spoke about it. I can't remember if it was on the last podcast or one of the videos in pre-season where Dendoncker is actually his runs are actually quite intelligent. It's just a shame that disrespect is Dendoncker on the end of it. But he was a chance. He had a good chance. I think it was in the first friendly. He created himself a lot of space and forced a corner against Sporting as well. So I don't think he'll get 15 goals like Tom Parker said last year, but I think he'll be amongst it a little bit more this year. I think he's allowed to be a little bit more advanced if he really wants to as well. But that's why if we did bring in another central midfielder, whether that be Mateus Nunez or somebody similar, if Donk comes out the team and you replace that position with somebody a little bit more attacking minded, a little bit more of a box to box that's decent in and around the area, it's promising really that you're able to get a player in those sort of areas.
Yeah, that's the problem. He gets himself into good areas, but this what happens next. That chance, I think it was the Alaves game, Dave, where the ball's come across the box, which you've just spoken about, and he's just got to take a touch and hit it, but his first touch, he can't get it out of his feet. He's like, fucking hell. If you just get a decent first touch here, it's a tapping, which has been the story of his life. And I know that when we interviewed Tim Spears, he said that the club thought he would kick on and be that almost Frank Lampard-esque midfielder. I know that's a big label to put on him, but and then he's not really kicked on as hoped. But Finn, out of that front 3-4, who's impressed you the most? I know Gibbs White's come back from his loan from Sheffield United and looked good. Neto's firing on all cylinders, but who's impressed you?
That's tough. Yeah, Morgan's impressed me, but hasn't really been the goal or the assist on the in the facts or the stats. So Neto probably in that sense has probably been the most exciting. You've got someone that's a very clinical finisher that we missed a lot of last season. It just excites me that they can all play in each position. That I don't know. I just don't like, as I say, I don't like I like them having a backboard. So if it is Jimenez or Benteke or something, I think it looks a lot better with those three when there's someone to just whack it off. I mean, it's very, very desperate, but the guy we've been linked with is 6'7" in Belgium. I think if they've got someone that they can hit it up to and then them three play, I'm not as keen on the false nine, as I said, but probably out the three, I think, because it's then again, we didn't have Morgan last season, but because we missed Neto last season, I think it'd been nice to see him again. But with Morgan and Podence, I'd probably like to see Podence on the wing and Morgan in the 10 a little bit more than we saw, because he was more on the right. I know even at Sheffield United, he played up front, let alone on the right, but I'd like to see him more in the 10. But all three of them, it's got me excited. It's one of the only things I'm excited for, really. So I hope we keep them all together. Don't flog any of them.
I mean, you talk about Benteke there and Onyachu. I think that the press have cottoned on that we want a big centre forward, and they've just looked at top leagues in Europe, filtered 6'5" plus.
Carroll, yeah.
and which is why today we've been linked with Strasbourg forward Ludovic Jord, who's 6'6". So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as a party likes this. Yeah.
So good. Even like Ben Brereton Diaz is a big boy as well. Like all of them that we've been linked with today.
Yeah. I'd like Diaz. Jord, who's impressed you the most out of every position pre-season?
I think Aitnery. I think
Yes.
that's quite an easy answer because there's been a lot of loving for him on the socials. But my God, what a player that guy is! I think he looks fitter. He looks bigger. He just looks better. And he's always been a good player, but he just seems to have like gone off. Pre-season, he just seems to become a bit of a bloke. I always thought he was a little bit lightweight for a fullback still, and he looks the part. That really does look the part this time round. I think it's fair to say. I think all that front three, Podence look good. Gibbs White, Neto. It's nice to see Raul amongst the goals as well. Before the injury. So I'm actually gone from being like really sort of not that optimistic about where we could come this season, even without recruitment and reinforcements, to actually feeling we're probably, like I say, 1 or 2 away from actually having a really good team again and pushing maybe for that 7th spot. But yeah, Aitnery for me has been a Rolls Royce so far.
Yeah, I think like you said, the first 11 looks excellent, but Dave, I think it just shows in the games where we played, like the Ferenc game and Levante game, that our squad depth is worrying.
Yeah, the French game in particular, yesterday, where of course we have players missing, like Jimenez is out injured, Adama's not there. I don't understand what Jord travelled with the squad to Portugal, but wasn't a part of any of the squads. So I don't know if he's out there to sort himself out a move or whatever. But yeah, it was worrying the fact that our second 11 were bar the back four and bar Huang. It's not fantastic, is it? And even then, the 2 players that we played at fullback are natural centre halves. So there are certainly areas that we've still got to strengthen. And obviously, the owner was there on Saturday, and you'd hope that he's there to maybe look at that and hopefully put his hand in his pocket and help us out a little bit. But yeah, even players that I was really hoping would step up, like the likes of Luke Kundle, I think just haven't shown me much this pre-season. And the fact that we've had to bring in pretty much under 23s, fringe under 23s players that were playing a lot of under 18s football last year to play yesterday against Ferenc is a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, I mean, Guo Guanchang was there in Portugal. Yes, the rumours were he was there to meet about negotiating a deal for Mateus Nunes, but knowing our luck, he's probably buying a fucking house in Villamora. That Nunes dog, I'm not convinced that there's a genuine interest. I can't see us spending 40 to 50 million pound on one player without any outgoings. A big outgoing, Gibbs White or Neves.
Yeah,
it'd have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and every time a player, when you hear, oh, he's not quite sure about joining Wolves, I remember like Zinchenko. My head just goes, fuck him, right, on to the next one. I don't know, some sort of like weird rejection thing happened. I mean, I remember even like Bolly. Do you remember when Bolly was going to come in and it was like, oh, he's not sure about joining? I mean, I forgave him when we won the league, but it's like, I don't like, as soon as a player's not keen, I don't think it ever really works, with maybe Bolly the exception.
I get that though, but he obviously backs himself and he's probably waiting on a better move. And if it doesn't come in, you might see later in the window that there is movement on that. But I just can't see it happening for the fees bandied about. But pre-season in a nutshell, like I said, 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Jord, where does that leave us instead for the next season? Are you looking forward to the next season?
More so now than I was before we kicked the ball in pre-season. Like I say, I think optimism's grown. What we've seen has been good in large parts. I think it's what you define this season as a good season as a Wolves fan. And I think for me, well, actually, no, I'm not going to even say where I think, because we're getting into that in a bit. But it's all about your definition of what you think a good season is for Wolves. I still think if we come anywhere from 8th to 17th is probably where we're going to end up. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a bit. But for me, that is a decent season. It's not the best, but ultimately, with a lack of investment, I don't understand what Bruno's meant to do more. Like, you're looking at teams in and around us, like Newcastle have spent money, quite good money. They've got Botman in, then after Maddison and Barnes. West Ham have got Samaka in. Like, there's just depth in these teams that we're even competing with that we haven't got. And like I say, 1 to 11, we can beat these teams and give any team a go. A really good game in this league, but one injury, Neves gets injured for a season, or someone like that, we could be really up against it.
Dave, what does success look like for you for Wolves next season currently, with the current squad of players we've got?
Top half finish for me would be a success, I think, again. If Bruno Lage can do it again with this squad, with the amount of money or lack of money that's been spent, would be another good achievement. I don't know, there was some questions, I had discussions about it. I think it might sound very big-headed of me, but I think the squad, or at least the first 11, is far too good to even be dragged into any sort of relegation battle. But obviously things can change with a couple of suspensions or injuries. But genuinely, like Jord said a little bit earlier on, 1 or 2 quality additions, and I think it will happen before the end of the window, because look, there's still 4 weeks left. I think it's frustrating that we haven't got them in before the start of the season, but 1 or 2 more quality additions in the right area, and we've got a really decent squad. So yeah, top half finish for me, I'll be more than happy with again.
I think Dave touches on key additions in particular areas. Where would you like to see Wolves strengthen between now and the end of the window?
I think in the last few years, we've given up on 2 players for every position. I don't think Wolves have had that in years, so we can't go that far with it. But I think knowing where we are and setting the expectations realistically, you need a centre midfielder, because if 4-3-3 is an option, you cannot have 3 centre midfielders. It's ridiculous. So you've got to get someone in there. And the fact that we're going to start the season without a recognised striker, that's the obvious other one. And when it was all the rumours, remember when we were putting it on Talking Wolves, everyone was like, surely there's someone coming in as soon as he goes. But no, they're the 2 main positions. I mean, at fullback, with Semedo injured, if one of those 2 go in the Leeds game or whatever, I don't know who goes on there. But once you've got Semedo, Aït-Nouri, and then Johnny that can cover either side, probably just about get through. But if I had to get 2, it's obviously a centre midfielder and a striker. I just think with the centre midfielder, I'm between 2 in the sort of profile that I'd want, because it's sort of the story of the 2 sporting players that we were linked with. You've got that sort of destroyer that you could put next to Neves, like a Palhinha, or a Nunes that's more of that box to box and can move, like a lot more mobile. I don't know which one I'd be happier to come in, but one of those 2 I think could complement him.
Dave and I spoke to someone about the Pena deal, and they said that Wolves did have the first refusal on him, but they were presented with the chance to sign him because Fulham were interested, and they just passed on it. I think they probably saw it as if Neves was to leave, which is fair enough, because in the role that Neves is playing now, he's a little bit similar. I know he's a bit more creative, Neves, but he's playing a little bit deeper. George, do you think it's going to be a lot harder this season to break into that top 7, top 8 Conference League, Europa League, with teams around us really strengthening? I know Villa, who weren't really a competitor last season, they've made a couple of good signings in Kamara. Do you think it's going to be a bit more difficult for Wolves?
100%, yeah. I think it's that thing in this league. If you stand still long enough, you get swallowed up, and we're not going to get swallowed up, I don't think, this season. But the pack have caught us up a little bit, and the ones in and around us have got better. Ultimately, they've got stronger squads now than they did last season. Like I say, Villas have improved. West Ham have got more people in. Newcastle could be anything. I'm not a big fan of Eddie Howe, but I can't really begrudge what he did for them. And I think they're making sensible business. I was hoping they'd go like just spunk the cash everywhere, but they actually seem to be doing good business. I think what will be interesting for me is that it's a really unique season and a really unique transfer window with a Winter World Cup. And I think there's going to be some players come the end of that window, almost like we said about Coady, who are like, I want to get out, I want to play some games. And you might be able to get some of these bigger profile players from these top 6 teams that just want to get games in. And I'm not saying we're going to get these guys in, but you people like your Pulisic's, people that are on the fringe a little bit might want a bit of game time. And I think that's where the market at the moment sort of just stalled a little bit. I think that maybe Wolves are hoping that we get 1 or 2 of these fringe top 6 players who are just looking for game time for the World Cup, even if it's on a 6-month deal, because that could really help us out short term. And maybe that's how we're trying to do it.
I think we're going to see a busier January window. I do. I think it's potentially going to be the opposite. I think players will stay where they are for now, and then after the World Cup, I think they'll look to move. Such as, I know we talk about Nunes. He's thinking, right, I want to be playing Champions League football. I want to be front and centre. I want to be the main man. And then, I might go to the World Cup with Portugal, and then after that, you can, settle for a move to Wolves. But it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be like a season like no other, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons. And I think I always remember Ask Wolves, not from this summer, the summer before, where they were asked about transfers, and Jeff Shee said, although they want to do their business early, it's never that easy. For some reason, the window always works late, and it will probably come towards the last week where there are players at their clubs that have realised they haven't started the first 3 or 4 games of the season and realised, right, I need to move to see if I can break into a first 11 team. I think with the amount of fixtures between now and the World Cup, there's opportunities for players. I think a central midfielder, a striker for sure, or striker especially if we sign them before the start of the window, would have had an opportunity. Even players like, I know there was, players that are almost a guarantee for the national team, but want to keep their fitness and sharpness up. Those sort of players. So there'll be deals there to be had. But I think it's similar with Mateus Nunes. He'll be reviewing his options, but if he knows he can get a bumper pay rise coming towards the end of the transfer window, I think we're going to be in a better position to do that.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. I mean, he's the one that we've always been talking about. He's almost like a Talisca, isn't it? It's just going to keep going on and on.
Stuck on the plane.
Renato Sanchez, and it's just, I feel like it's going to go on and on. But of course, with the pre-season, for the season preview podcast, we do have predictions. So I'm going to start with you first, Dave. Where are Wolves going to finish this season?
I gave a prediction the other day. I can't remember where I said 8th or 9th, but I'll be a little bit more pessimistic and I'll go 9th place. I think that's a bit safer. Finn,
where are Wolves going to finish this season?
I've gone 12th in my head. Thing is, if we sell, like, there's a month to go this window. If Man City go, we want Aït-Nouri and Morgan goes somewhere, then we're getting relegated. Or, like, I could be, right, we're getting Champions League if we sign 2, or if we, I don't know, but I've gone somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to go 12th, but it'll be a more entertaining 12th than were we 10th last year? A boring 10th, an entertaining 12th. I suppose I'll take it.
Jord?
12th as well.
12th. I've gone 11th. I think it's going to be a bottom half finish currently, just because of the squad depth. That's my opinion. Dave, which player will have a surprisingly big impact on the team this season?
I think you lot could probably guess my answer straight away, because I'm sure I say him every year. But Morgan Gibbs-White. That's what I've gone with. I think, again, he had a top preseason last year, was loaned out, had a really good year. And in my opinion, he's had another good preseason now. I think he's guaranteed minutes, he's guaranteed game time. Bruno obviously needs to show him that he's part of this first team. I think he'll have a really good year.
Finn?
A big negative impact when he moves to City will be Aït-Nouri. But for a positive, I think I'd probably go Aït-Nouri for positive as well. I think even though he's kind of been moved further back on the pitch, if we're playing the 4, I think especially with the goal for Podence against, was it Besiktas? I think having those more creative players on the pitch, he seems to really be enjoying himself. And I know he sort of has a big impact every season, so I don't know whether that counts, but I think, this is going to be his season.
Jord?
I'm going for Nathan Collins.
Okay, cool.
Because I do just think, he's everything that we needed to play into this back 4. I think he's come with he's actually gone under the radar a little bit in terms of the actual Premier League transfer window, because I don't think a lot of people still know a lot about him. But I think what I've seen of him at Burnley and what I've seen of him in pre-season, barring that penalty he gave away the other day, I think he's just I think him and Kilman could be, a real strong Premier League partnership that people talk about for years to come. And I'm really excited to see how he goes this season.
A big credit to you, George. You were one of the first ones who called it out on the Talking Wolves podcast that you think Wolves should sign Nathan Collins. So it's if you shit, it's your fault.
Yeah, I'll take it on the chin, mate. Don't worry.
Dave, what's your hot take for this season?
Max Kilman to be in the England squad for the World Cup.
That was the same for Gibbs-White last season, weren't it?
Yeah.
He'll be in the England squad.
Yeah, there you go.
Finn?
I don't know, I just came up, I said before I haven't got one. I just came up with one in my head that sounds cool. But then I remembered, I'll go with it, but it's not going to happen. I was going to say Neto will be the highest scoring number 7 in the league. And then I remembered Heung-min Son exists. So I was going through the other teams and I was like, I could do that, but I'm going to stick with it anyway. Son's going to have a bad season. That's my hot take.
What numbers Ronaldo at United?
Yeah, he ain't going to play, is he?
No.
But he's 7.
Jord?
If only had a big brand to remember that.
One hot take I've realised I sort of stumped myself with Nathan Collins, but I was going to say Aitnari to be named PFA Young Player of the Year.
Ooh, I like it.
Wow. That is bold.
That's a hot take.
Mine is Hwang Hee-chan to score 6+ league goals.
Bold.
How many did you get last year? 4 or 5? Yeah, 4.
4.
Oh, you're so controversial.
Oh, man. Hwang Hee-chan to get 1 goal contribution all year.
No, but if
Hwang to trap a ball.
Yeah.
I ain't getting involved.
Hwang to have 4 decent first touches throughout the season. No, I think he's going to be better this season. I do. I think he's going to be better. Top goal scorer, Dave.
Jimenez. Nice and easy.
Finn, I don't need more ask you.
No, in line with my last one, I've got to go Neto, haven't I? Really, I think it's going to be Neto.
I was going to say, if he's a top scorer number 7 in the league, then fucking hell, Jimenez having a great season. If he's Jord,
It's got to be Raul, hasn't it? I think. It's just boring, but yeah.
I've gone with Neto as well, Finn.
What?
Top assister, Dave.
I said Trincao last year, so any guess is going to be better this year. I'll go Neto with this one.
Finn?
I'm going to go, who takes corners? I'm going to go Morgan with my first instinct. But
Conor Ronan.
Oh, yeah, there we go then. Morgan. Yeah, to be fair,
bang
2 in 2 games.
It's very rare that you score direct from a corner, though, so as in like a direct header. So, Jord?
Yeah, fair, still more.
I'll go for Pedro Neto, I think. Him or Daniel Pence.
I'm going for little Dan. I'm going for Danny Pedence. And to round up your predictions, Dave, your 3 predictions for the league.
No, I'll flip it. I think I said a goalkeeper to score last year and it didn't happen. Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. Bournemouth to finish rock bottom.
Bold.
Yeah, bold. I'm going to go bold. Wolves to finish ahead of Aston Villa again. And Manchester United to miss out on the top 6.
You salvaged it there, mate. Bournemouth finishing bottom was a poor shout, but the last one's a little bit left field. Finn, what are your 3 predictions for the rest of the league?
One, my agenda player this year. Last year it was Bruno. This year it's Sterling. So I'm going to say less than 7 goals for Sterling. I can't remember what my other ones were. It was someone to get relegated, wasn't it? So I'll go. I was thinking Brentford, but then I like the signing today of Damsgaard. I'll go for who's going to get relegated that shouldn't get relegated. Leeds. Leeds are going. Actually, no, they probably could get relegated, but they're going anyway. And
nice to see you've had to think about this before.
Yeah, well, as you said 3, I was like, I had 1, and it was Sterling. So come back to me for a third. Go on, Jord.
So I've got Everton to go down.
Oh dear,
like it.
I've actually got Sterling to have 20 or more goals and assist contributions in the league this season.
Is that 20 goals and assists or 20 goals
like
and 20 assists?
Contributions.
Goal contributions as Raheem Sterling. And my other one is for Arsenal to not finish in the top 6.
Nice.
Can it be Wolves related? Oh, sorry,
no, it's for the wider league, mate. It's good to see.
It can be Wolves. It can be Wolves, but
got a good one.
Go on in, mate. Go on in.
Sorry, George. I didn't let you explain.
I was going to say, I just think Arsenal. I just love it every pre-season. They've obviously had a good pre-season. They all think they're like the Invincibles again, and they just bottle it, and they're just fucking shit. And I love to see them just miserable by April. I love to see that tie on the overlap going to Neville, like, oh, what are you saying, blood? All this sort of crap, like blood. Yeah, they're just shit. They're just
The
Good
only
impression,
time Jord's ever said blood.
don't get that in Old Winford, mate. I tell you.
Finn, what's your last
Can
prediction?
I have Wolves to finish top of the red card charts?
Yeah,
so that's a good shout.
It is.
In pre-season, we looked feisty, so I'm having that.
Bruno shithouse Wolves. So my predictions are, and you ready, Dave? Brentford to finish top half.
Move on. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Brentford, mate?
That prediction is gash.
Chelsea to finish outside the top 4,
Ooh,
Nice.
bold.
and Bournemouth to get less than 20 points.
He's gone one step further than me.
Norwich got 22 last season, and I think they're comfortably worse than them. So, however, they'd have to play us twice, so there's at least 6.
There's 6, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have 3 by the end of August, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we look back at the predictions last time, and they were way off. But let's hope some of those ring true. Leeds United on Saturday, Ellen Road, first game of the season. Dave, how are you feeling about this one? Still a bit of an unknown quantity, aren't they? Leeds with Jesse March as the manager.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a good time against them last year. Failed to beat them. That game at Molineux was pretty much the sticking point for us last season. It all went downhill after that game when we were 2-0 up and threw it away. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Obviously, lost 2 massive players in Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. They've reinvested their money into the squad, which I think Wolves were probably expecting to do, but we've managed to keep hold of our key players, really. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they can do. They've got some new players that will be wanting to show Ellen Road what they can do. I think one of their main guys at the new signing, is it Sincitiero or whatever his name is? Yeah, he's out injured for the game, I believe. So... yeah, I think the game's going to be won and lost through the middle, really, and it's going to be a big test for us. First real test to see what the back 4 can do and how we're going to look going forward. But yeah, my first trip to Ellen Road, actually, so looking forward to it.
I think I've only ever been once. It's always a tough place to go, though, and Finn, it's going to be bouncing on the opening day of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I've only ever been once, and it was last season when they literally, the atmosphere was the best atmosphere I've seen all season. That last 20 minutes, they literally sucked that penalty into the net. It was ridiculous, but made a few quid as well, a few coins being thrown. Came away with like £3 profit on the ticket. But no, it was a really good ground to go to. And yeah, on the first day, I hadn't even considered that. It's going to be rocking. So it's a good test for us. Like when we were talking about the Betmate teams that will come to in a bit, I didn't know that like Bamford he just seems to be permanently injured. So you've got players like that coming back that really didn't feature last season. So they're a decent team, as you say, a lot of big losses, but they've gone very American heavy in the market. It'll be interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah, it's funny you should say about the game being won in the middle of the pitch, Dave. I caught up with a Leeds fan channel for an opposition preview, which will be live on talkingwalls.co.uk on Wednesday. And he said that Marsh has adopted a really narrow system. He said you'll even see wingers in like narrow positions off the ball. He plays exactly through the middle, and they play a very, very high press. George, do you think that's something that we'll be able to cope with?
Possibly. I think I've not seen anything of them. I think did they win 6-2 on the weekend?
Yesterday,
yeah. I'm still not necessarily convinced about Marsh and Leeds, and I'm not, again, that could be anything this year. I think that Phillips and obviously Rafinha are massive losses for that team. By far their 2 best players, and I've not seen enough of them of the new players to say whether they've replaced them well or not enough. I know a few Leeds fans from doing this sort of stuff for the last few years and seeing on Twitter that they're going a little bit wax lyrical about, is it Mark Rocker they got from Bayern Munich? Yeah. As mobile as Phillips, but his passing range is there. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting game. Ellen Road's a horrible place, and realistically, I think if you offered me a point now, I don't think it's a bad point at all to get out of there and come away with the draw.
Must be happy to come out alive, if I'm honest.
The one thing I said earlier on as well is that if you remember at the start of the year when we played United, Ralph Rangnick set up with a pretty similar style to what Jesse Marsch does with that narrow way, and we absolutely bossed United at Old Trafford. So I know it's going to be a different tactic for Wolves, but if Bruno Lage can sort of, adopt something similar at Ellen Road, we've got every chance of getting a result, I think, on Saturday.
I hate to say it though, but that 3-4-3 might work better for this game. Oh,
I think it's going to be 4-3-3 for Wolves, though. So we're going to pack out the midfield a little bit more, aren't we? And I think with the talented wingers that we've got, and even the fullbacks bombing forward, if we can pick up those spaces in behind on the out wide, we've got an all right chance.
Yeah, and having spoke to Tom from I'd Rather Be Leeds, he said that Rasmus Christensen looks a good player. He said he's got all the characteristics of a player that he's loved at Ellen Road, whatever that means. So Finn, can I have a score prediction, please, before we go on to Betmate?
Same as last year. I think we'll take the lead, and then they'll get one late on. 1-1, I think.
1-1. Jord?
I'll go for an entertaining 2-2.
Dave?
Leeds 0, Wolves 1.
We love that. And who's the goal scorer, Dave?
Morgan Gibbs-White.
That is very invested in Morgan.
Yeah.
But as the Premier League season returns, of course, we return with Betmate. Some of you may have played it last season. Some of you may be looking forward to playing it this season. It's a fantasy football betting game. You can play with your mates. You can, join your own pots. And this game, we're in a joint pot with One Leeds, which is another Leeds, a Leeds fan channel who will feature on our preview. I'm right in saying
correct.
Dave?
Yeah, correct.
So you've got the chance of winning a share of £200. It's £3 to enter using pot code OLTW1. So that's One Leeds TW1. However, this season, if you are a new customer, use code TW5 when you're signing up, because then you'll be eligible for £5 in free bets once you've staked a cash bet. Of course, with this, be gamble aware and bet responsibly. But one feature that they've added this season is they're now getting the data source from Opta, so it pretty much updates instantly. And having a go on the Charity Shield game at the weekend, it worked brilliantly well. Dave, can I get your Betmate team for the weekend and talk me through the rationale?
Yeah, so this is the winning team for this weekend. Also known as don't pick any of these players, because I did all right towards the end. I checked my Betmate pot, and he was looking healthy. But I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal. I wouldn't be against you if you went with Meslier, to be fair, because what we're like going forward sometimes. But I've gone with Sarr in goal. The two Wolves fullbacks in Aït-Nouri and Johnny. I think they're going to pick up a lot of space. Going to have the opportunities. I've gone with midfield 2 of Daniel Podence and Morgan Gibbs-White. I think both of those will start, and a front 2 of Patrick Bamford and Pedro Neto.
Bloody hell, that's very Wolves heavy. I wasn't expecting that.
You've got to be brave on Bet, mate, and that's what I've done. First game of the season, Bruno Lage, oui.
One thing I will caveat though, this season the rules have slightly changed.
Oh boy.
So previously where your attackers would get more points for interceptions.
Yeah.
And tackles, it's now flat across the board. So maybe something to consider.
I might clever picks in the mud then.
Yeah, it makes it fairer though, because a lot of teams press from the front, don't you? And like you might get Mo Salah nicking the ball off someone.
Well, to be fair, it helped last year when Chiquinho's class as a forward and he played wing back against City.
Masterclass, absolute masterclass. I think I voice captained him as well.
He had 14 points. I think I looked at it the other day. Yeah.
Bless him. Speedy recovery, Chiquinho. Finn, have you picked a team for this week?
I have.
Go on then.
And I was very pleased with myself, and then you've told me that. It's pretty similar to Dave's, to be fair. I've got Sarr, Aït-Nouri and Kilman, Gibbs-White. And then I've been seeing that Jack Harrison's been playing left back, so I put him in midfield, hoping that he'd get more points for stuff in defence, even though he's down as a midfielder, but never mind. And then Neto and Bamford up front. But yeah, I've gone Wolves heavy because you have to get heavy one either way and just gamble. So I'll back the boys. But yeah, Bamford and Harrison in their Leeds.
I've gone a little bit of a mix. I'm sat on the fence, splinters in my arse. I've gone Jose Sarr in goal, vice captain Ryan Aït-Nouri, Christensen as the other defender, midfield 2 of Gibbs-White and Jack Harrison, and a front 2 of captain Patrick Bamford and Rodrigo. So that's my team. That's my team. I don't like betting against Wolves. But I've just got a feeling it's going to be a really, really tough game. Of course, if you do want to get involved and try and apply your wit against Dave, Finn, and I, it's £3 to enter with a share of £200, and it's pot code OLTW1. And of course, if you are a new customer, use code TW5 for £5 in free bets. Lads, it's questions time. Thanks for those who sent in questions on Twitter. I really do appreciate it. Some really good questions this week. I'll start with a question that's been asked by various people, and is, why aren't we considering Andrea Bellotti on a free, Dave?
Well, he's not as good as people think for a start, because people are just remembering Andrea Bellotti that played against us 2 or 3 years ago in the Europa League. Well, 3 years ago. And plus, just because a player's a free agent doesn't mean you pay jack all to sign him. You've still got to pay mad agent fees, mad signing on fees, a big wage, and Italian tax, in my opinion. So
there is Italian tax.
Yeah, I get why people are interested in him, but he's not. I don't think he's as good as people are making out. But then there'll be people saying, "Oh, we're desperate for anyone." But like this, like I said earlier, Wolves can wait late, until the right deal comes off. Andrea Bellotti, as long as he keeps himself fit, he's got the pick of clubs, and there'll be clubs in 3 or 4 weeks that are desperate and will pay an arm and a leg to have him. So I think he'll stay in Italy. But yeah, I think there's a reason that Wolves aren't going for him as well.
He was injured quite a lot last season as well.
Yeah.
Finn, why aren't Wolves signing Andrea Bellotti?
I do see all your points. I send a lot of stuff into our chat, don't we? I fell in love with him when he played us. I absolutely loved him. But yeah, you just need to say Italian tax. To be fair, no one's worked, have they? So that's it. Even if he was asking for £1 a week, he's not.
Had someone argue with me saying, I think your point's wrong about Italian players. He sent me a list of Italian players, or did he send me a good one from the last 15 years? Of course he didn't. So it was like Zola and all that. I was like, mate, he said Balotelli. I was like, okay, that's a fair point. But since then, he was like picking out players that play for Southampton. Yeah, but he's picking out players that were playing like for Southampton I never even heard of. I was like,
Ballon d'Or,
Diamante from West Ham. I was like, Brev, what are you on about?
Oh yeah.
So David Zappacosta as well, who looks a little bit like Nathan Judah.
Yeah. We said Davide from Love Island then.
Davide.
Jord,
why aren't Wolves interested in the Rooster?
Because he's not very good. I think it's just been like his legs had got a lot. I watched him in Finalissima or whatever they called it, and he was fucking garbage. He can't move. There's a reason why no one's gone in for him. 3 years ago, I was waxing lyrical about him after that Torino game as well. I thought, this guy is good. Let's get him in, whatever you want. But I watched him against Argentina. By the off chance, I thought, you know what, he's starting. I was watching him, and he's like a cart horse. Like, he's just not what he was. I just think, like Dave sort of said, someone's going to get desperate, pay a lot of money for him. And that's what he's hoping for, because he's not what he was at all.
Didn't he suffer a crucial ligament injury as well? Like, when he was like at the peak of his powers?
Yeah, he's had quite a bad. And again, that's a shame for him. But
he seemed really concerned.
No, it's also just every day refresh Twitter and also, why aren't we signing Andrea Bellotti? Just watch some of his performances in the last 2 years. Actually, I encourage people, go on Sky Go on demand, watch Argentina Italy from Wembley in the summer. I know it's one game, but he was like Grant Holt. Honest to God, he was shit.
Not a fan then. Not a fan.
Not anymore. Like I say, 3 years ago, sign me up. Now, no. Absolutely not.
I mean, the fees that were being bandied around 3 years ago, I mean, I think PSG were quoted €100 million for him. But yeah, he's not the player he once was. Thanks for clearing that up, Jord. I wasn't sure what you thought about
It's on the fence as usual.
Yeah, Ryan's asked an update on Adama's status and who you think will be in the number 9 role for game week 1 versus Leeds. I think number 9 role will be probably Pedento, won't it?
Yeah, Pedento, Gibbs White in that sort of rotation sort of thing. Yeah.
The Adama one's weird. I mean, he's on holiday again. I don't get it.
On a boat.
He's meant to be fit.
Yeah, it's a mad situation. We all thought that we maybe see him over the weekend. Then he was pictured in Womben Sainsbury's in a Spain shirt with his name on, which was a bit weird in itself. I don't know, unless Wolves are just sort of letting him do what he wants to do to keep him happy, to try and get him to stay at the club. I don't know, but with a week to the season and you're on a yacht, it don't make much sense to me, if I'm honest.
What's your thoughts on it, Finn? if he's fit, surely he should be back back with the squad. I know that when he went to Barcelona for the scan, he spent 3 or 4 days with his family too. This all seems a bit strange, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I don't see with a week to go I mean, I'm pretty sure all the leagues around the world start at a similar time. Why, even if you want to leave Wolves, it's not what are you benefiting from going on holiday now? Surely you want to be fit for any move that does come along. I don't see the logic in it, and I can't really see the logic in Wolves allowing it. I suppose that makes sense if they're trying to butter him up, maybe sign this deal if we let you go on a boat for a few days. I don't know, but I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's not beneficial to anyone what he's doing at the moment. I mean, it could be something pre-agreed. I don't know, but it just doesn't look right. And it's not like he's hiding it, is he? We've seen it on his Instagram story. So
it's like in the piss.
With a week to go, and then it doesn't look good. But I mean, I'll forgive him. I'll forgive him for anything.
I'd say he's fit. The scan showed that it wasn't anything serious with his hamstring. But I think he's been in training though since. Jord, what's your take on it? I know footballers have got to enjoy themselves, and you know, but we face Leeds on Saturday, and surely he should be, if he is still fighting for fitness, he should be doing his rehabilitation work back at Compton.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not like permanently in a cryo chamber trying to get fit, and he's just dancing around on a yacht. Like I say, it's mad. It's mad. On the last podcast, I was like, I love him for all his imperfections. When keep him, not worth selling him. Like, but he's just really starting to get on my tits. To be quite honest, it's just annoying, isn't it? And the audacity to wear your own shirt in Sainsbury's. I mean. Again, I'm not one for fashion advice, but for me, that's just not a thing you do.
You say that, mate, but Dave wore that T-shirt out in Benidorm.
I knew you were going to say
strength and conditioning coach.
do you work for Wolves? I'm like, yeah, you're dark. No, what I was going to say is, like, it does sound like we're sort of, shooting for him a little bit. But if he was doing this like 4 or 5 weeks ago, then fair enough. But a week before the season, you've got to be, do you care about your career? Like, it's mad.
It's but what's like. And it might be that he's got a big layoff and he just needs to rest up and he doesn't need to do any work and he'll come back. But I don't know, it just seems really strange. Like you said, footballers have got to enjoy themselves, the human beings. But it's really, really odd. We still don't know whether he's going to be still here in a few weeks. But if he's pushing for a move, if I'm I don't know, Everton looking at that thinking, well, he's not fit, so he can't come in and play. So. Very, really, really strange. Ben has asked, how many more outgoings can you see happening? Do you think there'll be any under 23 players that are loaned out further than the ones that have already gone?
Yeah, there'll be loads. There'll be loads more 23s to go out on loan, I think.
Kundal
will probably go out. Possibly see someone like Joe Hodge, Christian Marquez will go out on loan. Matheson, they'll probably get another loan for as well. So yeah, there'll be plenty of 23s that go out on loan again. First teamers, I think, unless players will come in. I think if Kundal goes out, they'll try their best to get another body through the door anyway. And I don't think they'll sanction that deal. Well, they probably will, but I wouldn't sanction that deal until another midfielder comes in anyway.
Expect the unexpected. What do you do to Conor Ronan? Know what happens with him?
He's actually been okay, hasn't he, during pre-season?
Right?
I think, I'd probably keep him around. I think he's, I'd keep him around. He's a decent player to have, I think.
Well, I mean, if you look at that three, you got Hodge, Ronan, and Kundal. Arguably, Kundal's been not the worst, but hasn't impressed. I mean, Hodge has been good and Ronan, but Kundal's not really done the business. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with him.
I've liked Hodge. Hodge has been all right, and obviously Tim Spears, there was a bit of a joke that he made, in the final episode of last season. But he's looked sharp. He had a difficult season last year with injuries. He's come back, did well in 23s. I would probably, if you said Kundal, Griffiths, Joe Hodge, I would probably say Joe Hodge is probably the pick out of those young midfielders.
What do you reckon, boys? Finn, do you reckon Ronan should be given a chance this season? I can't believe it's come to this, but.
No, but when we're being quoted, what was it, like 500k we were asking for, like for an option off the bench to fill one of those roles in midfield, I'm quite happy to keep him there. I mean, he's 24 now. It's crazy how long he's been around, but from set pieces, he's looked, 2 assists in 2 games, isn't it? He's got great whip on him. So yeah, we need a bench, and if he's, I'd probably rather sit on the bench in the Premier League than start in Scotland. So works for everyone.
Good job you don't have a choice.
Blame
Jord.
I just
What do
think
you do
we
with Conor Ronan?
can't let anyone else go. We literally can't, no matter how good or bad they are, if they're going to get any minutes or not. We're in no position to sanction any more deals at the moment until we get people through the door. And that's the way it is. Conor Ronan will probably come off the bench against Leeds and play 20 minutes. And that's something I never thought I'd say 3 years ago. But we are where we are.
What a time to be alive, Wolves fans. James has asked, are you worried about relegation? Like a genuine worry?
I've already made my point on this. I'm not even going to answer it. No.
So you think we're going to be in a relegation fight then?
No.
Finn, what do...
Never in a million years with this current
Are you willing to put a bet on?
What are we talking?
Like, are you that confident? Say if I said to you've got to put down £500 that Wolves won't get relegated, would you do it?
Yeah, happy.
You would?
Happily. Yeah.
Okay, that's on record. Finn?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I did look
Wolves,
at the odds.
Yeah,
I did look at the odds. I'm going to have a look what they are now, but it was 5 at the time, and it did tempt me. I think it's just when...
Is that 5 to 1 for everyone who doesn't use decimals?
Sorry, 5 to 1. Sorry, yeah. 5 to 1.
Finn would only put a quid on anyway.
Yeah,
I did last year.
Each way.
But Wolves are currently 4 to 1. They're slashed.
Dave's arsehole's going, twitching like a rabbit's nose.
Yeah. But no, it's just whenever it's like, oh, Forest are going to sign Morgan, it's like, oh, we're getting relegated, and then it's, oh, no, they're not. And then when we bring in the striker in the midfielder, we'll be fine. But just naturally, I just sort of go, oh, we could get relegated, which realistically we're not. But it has gone through my mind. I won't lie.
Jord, are you worried about relegation?
I'm a Wolves fan. I just think there's been that much heartbreak over the years. Like, you just expect the unexpected. I'd realistically, no, we shouldn't be going down. But like everyone can see, the squad depth's scary. And if touch wood, it doesn't happen, like if Neves gets a bad injury, like someone key or pivotal, like it could really derail us, basically. So I'm not saying we will. I think there's worse teams in the league quite comfortably. We mentioned a few already on this podcast, but I'm not as confident as Dave.
No. And final question for Dave and I. Dean's asked, what was our favourite memory or moment of the Benidorm trip?
Oh boy. Okay, now. It was good, to be fair. Are we allowed to say some of them? I don't know.
Why not, mate? Why not? Probably not all of them, but...
No. But to be fair, the burger restaurant's up there, isn't it?
Tepu Burger in Benidorm, outstanding.
If you don't know, get to know. Tepu Burger, that was unbelievable.
Outrageous. Yeah. I don't know about... I mean, having to hitchhike our way back from the game was a personal low light.
I don't know what was worse, so hitchhiking back from the first game or me having to lie down in a car boot on the way to the second game.
Dave we managed to grab the back of some car.
We managed to grab a lift, and the guy was like, "Sound." He goes, "Wait, there's too many people in this car." They're like, and he goes, "Right, you're gonna have to lie in the boot." And I was the smallest one there. And yeah, obviously, Phil, we talk about Be Real, mate. Guess when the Be Real notification went out? Literally, as I lie down in the boot, I was like, "Yes." So, luckily, Ewan went in on the way back, but yeah, I'm glad it's like almost 2 weeks on. Otherwise, we'd have the authorities knocking on the door. But
we were, I was levered, sat in the back of that car though on the way.
Big up to Neil from the Rose and Crown for sorting that out. By the way, I know he listens.
Neil. Yeah. He when we went in on the first time, they put the prices up, and he said, "I've listened to the fucking podcast, and I'm going to sort it out." And we went in there, and guess what he did? He sorted it out, and I like that. And he also
gave us a bottle of peach schnapps.
Yeah, a bottle of peach schnapps as well. He went, "Here, lads, this is for you, boys. Enjoy yourselves." And
we finished that as well, by the way. An hour before the game, that was gone.
Yeah, I did it in about 15 minutes in between the few of us. I mean, there's like 10 of us, so it's not large quantities, but it was class. So big up to Neil. I think for me, it's a real strange experience is having Gilly Shaw, former Wolves hooligan,
legend.
He's synonymous with the Wolverhampton Wanderers, Yam Yam Army. He's been documented with Danny Dyer. Pulled up his car alongside us and asked me and Dave for a picture. we couldn't believe it. We thought he'd hate our stuff. But yeah, that was just really, really weird. I couldn't quite believe it. I said today, I said, I can't pulling up. I went, Skiddy, sure. And then he called us over and had a picture. It's just mental, but
You two have the telly, are you?
yeah, we'll sort of off the telly, kind of. But mate, it's just what a trip. It was so good to meet people out there as well, people who listen to the pod and stuff, and other Wolves fans. It was class. I'd encourage the club to do more of those next season, even pre-season in Spain again. I know Finn wants to go to America, but it was how accessible it was for us all. Apart from getting back from the fucking ground, no, it was brilliant. So fair play and big up to the Rose and Crown and Neil there. So lads, that's all we've got time for today. Chewed the fat for over an hour. I was only trying to keep it to 40 minutes. We're going to try and keep the podcasts a bit more regular this season. Something that we spoke about during the summer, and you guys seem to love it. So hopefully going to be bringing them weekly. Going to hopefully get back on the transfer podcast as well. We did start it with the thought that we'll do this every week, but since we've done it, there's been absolutely nothing out there. But today there's been quite a few, so I'm sure Dave and I, maybe Jordan, Finn will jump on again this week to go through those in a bit more depth. But it's been an absolute pleasure, gents. It's wonderful to see you all again. Dave, where can people find you should they wish?
So yeah, it's Dave as a party on Twitter or Instagram. So yeah, drop me a follow.
Private or public at the minute, Instagram?
Private at the minute, but things change. Things change.
This geezer. I want to know who he's hiding from.
So,
got a lot of skeletons in his closet. Finn, where can people find you?
Ellen Road on Saturday with lots of pound coins. If they need one for the trolley or whatever. But no, Finn is on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, FINERRZ.
Are the vlogs back this year?
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Leeds should be an interesting one. So yeah, starting up again this weekend. I have my 2-month siesta holiday, so back again.
Jord, where can people find you should they wish? Not Ellen Road because you're climbing Snowdon.
Yeah, so I'll be up bloody Snowdon. I thought basically a few months ago, pissed up, we all agreed when we were in Portugal on a golf trip, it'd be cracking to do Snowdon. Lo and behold, the Albion fan booked it for the first week of the Premier League season. But yeah, so Twitter, JordRus7, and yeah, everyone who's going to Leeds, have a good one, and hopefully bring back hopefully bring back 3 points, let alone 1.
Dave and I will be there anyway, so if you do spot us, please come and say hello. That'd be nice. Obviously. Yeah, and Finn. Finn, are you driving up?
No, train, I think, from Manchester.
Oh, are you? That's brave, mate, considering this current state of the trains.
I know, and it's 40 minutes. I've had a look. It's 40-minute walk from the train station. Yeah,
we'll have to pick him up on the way, mate.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. No, there's 4 of us. It's I'm taking my girlfriend to the first Wolves game, Leeds away.
Is it?
Nice. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, she's never coming back. Might stop me getting beat up though if you're with a girl. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
She'll probably be beating you. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm M Cooper Writes on Twitter and Instagram, and Matt Cooper Bites on YouTube. We are at Talking Wolves across all socials: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you log on to talkingwolves.co.uk for all your news and rumours too. We've got more articles coming this week. A load of match day content too, and
a big. Sorry, mate. You're probably saying a massive video probably in the next week or so on the channel.
We hope so. Anyway, we hope for. We've got an exclusive planned. Whether it comes through or not, we're keeping very tight-lipped. But if it does happen, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very sought-after interview. So hopefully that
it's not a sign-in, just because
it's not a sign-in. It's absolutely not a sign-in. No, it's absolutely not a sign-in.
Big news coming soon. Then we'll get abuse. So
it's like when Leeds fans tweeted, "Don't go to bed yet, Leeds fans." And then they sold Matt Smith. So it's not a signing, but it's hopefully going to be a big interview. We've been working on it. It's all day's work in the background. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, Talking Wolves across all socials. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, like the video. And until next time, take care and see you all at Leeds.